Action Park
Media.
Let's get a mic check here. 1 2 1 2. Episode 50. No gruffs given. The main ingredient of stardom is the rest of the team. Spoken by the late great John Wooden. The main ingredient of stardom is the rest of the team. Now, I pull that quote today because we're going to talk a little bit about American Idol. And, Michael, I said to you when you came in, I really want you to get on American Idol.
I'll make it happen for you.
Because you're on The Amazing Race, and I want you to be on American Idol because I think it is the greatest, right now, currently, the roster of Luke, Katy, and Lionel, I think it is the most empowering 2 hours of television in the reality space in the entire world right now.
It seems like the rest of America agrees with you, too.
It's just incredible. It's incredible. The main ingredient of stardom is the rest of the team. It makes sense whether you're talking about your work team, your family team, your jiu-jitsu team, whoever it is, whatever you're doing, your F-45 team, you're on a swim team, I don't know, whatever team you're on, you need teammates to push each other, to be held accountable, to lean on each other, to help give each other perspective. And yeah, I mean, think about a tennis player. It's an individual sport. A race car driver. Race car driver's not even getting out of the blocks without a great team. It's the team under the car, behind the camera. You know what I mean? So where should we go first? Well, let's go here. East Palestine, okay? And it ties into this whole thing of Woody Harrelson and SNL and Trump. And so East Palestine, we don't really know what has happened there, except that there was a incredibly violent train derailment that had essentially mustard gas on it, if you really want to break it down, which we used in World War II to kill Germans. I'm taking a shot in the dark. I think probably German. No, Japanese World War II. Or were we both? I don't know. But we were using it in the last World War. We're on the brink of potentially another nuclear war. How long ago was that nuclear episode that we did? It seems like Biden is out of control. The shit that he is saying. All right. So East Palestine. All right. The train blows up. It's mustard gas. You can see the riverbeds. They're full of something. And SNL, like they made it. So SNL did a skit with Trump, giving a speech after his visit to East Palestine. And they essentially mocked the entire thing, but they did it through the lens of Trump, which is quite smart. If you want to be subliminal and you want to admit that there was failure, and obviously the current administration, because Buttigieg, and they did a whole thing with Trump saying Buttigieg, he's my favorite guy.
Mayor
Pete. Okay. It was actually kind of disgraceful. It was so fucking bad. It was so bad because, I don't know what the true number is. Is it 29? Is it 29, 290? No. Is it $29 billion that we've sent to Ukraine? I wrote this down. We're sending another 500 million additionally. Is the total up to date right now 29 billion? I don't know. I could be making that up, but why did I write that number down? So we see what's happening, right? I'll go up 30,000 feet. China is aligning with Russia. They are fighting, I guess, this proxy war via Ukraine, but it's actually the United States.
I'm seeing that just wrote on February 22nd that we have $75 billion in assistance to Ukraine so far. Humanitarian, financial, military.
All right. So 75 billion?
75 billion.
Yeah, because I found this thing just like he did. And Congress approved up to 113 billion of aid.
Okay. So my 29 billion number was a joke.
That might
you
just
were
be
right.
military.
It's from early January, 26 billion.
26 billion. Okay. So we'll take the low end. $26 billion. What is happening right now? Right? I think that this trumps like the Ukraine flags and pray for Ukraine. I get it. I remember when we were banging on the pots and pans in New York City, singing out the windows, right? Where are we today? Oh, the lab leak is, I guess, official.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we officially know, right?
We know that it's a lab leak now.
I think we knew that.
The last 3 years has been an utter catastrophe.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. And at this point, it's not even political for me because you guys don't hear me. Like, we're not in the political weeds anymore. We could be, we could be, but it's not even about that. It's just about America. It's about our future generation, which is why I can't watch American Idol now I'm in tears immediately. I'll get into it. It's the most positive, beautiful show on television. Fucking Instagram and TikTok and SNL, right? Like, I don't even know if they're communists or if they are new. I think they're part of the New World Order.
It feels like it's almost like just clickbaity too. Like they have to figure out they're not getting the ratings, so then they have to figure a way to draw attention to it.
Well, I still think that there's something a little bit deeper behind it. I still think they're waging a war that we're not really. Well, I think we are. I think we have to be clear about what war it is right now. That's why I say, who is it? Who does this align with?
Yeah.
Is this like New World Order shit? Like Biden, what is he doing? We'd have no gas. We're in a war that we don't even need to be fighting. Are they trying to get us to eat bugs? But then Woody Harrelson, Woody Harrelson, I actually lost a lot of respect for Woody Harrelson during the pandemic because he was hard on COVID, vaccines. This is the way out, the whole thing, all the slogans. This is the way out, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Can you imagine 2 weeks to flatten the curve? People were wearing buttons. All the shit that we printed, all the signs and the plastic and the hand sanitizers and all of that stuff was a complete fucking fabrication of the truth.
It's the information war, right?
It is an information war. So what does this mean when Woody stands up in a very informative SNL monologue? Okay. This is a moment where look at Chappelle or whoever else over the last year. They've made statements. So here goes Woody Harrelson. So he references this. The movie script goes like this. He's talking about he was in Central Park. He was going to sit down and read a script, and he smoked a joint beforehand. All right. So the movie script goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes. And people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over again. I mean, okay, interesting. Well, Jesus, what did he just say? Hold on a second. All right, so is he knocking it? No, he's saying this is crazy because he goes on to say, I ripped the script up. I threw the script away. I mean, who was going to believe that crazy idea? Now, this is where he does his little liberal ballerina belly-hoo dance. He says, I threw the script away. I mean, who was going to believe that crazy idea? Being forced to do drugs? I do that voluntarily all day long. You see how it's just a real nice play on the words. So hold on a sec. So are you making fun of us, or are you with us now? I think you're with us, but you didn't really want to come out and say it. Or maybe you had to, toe the line. They were only going to allow you to say this. Like, what the fuck is going on here? What is going on here? $26 billion to Ukraine, East Palestine, Ohio. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but did the president not go? And did Pete Buttigieg not go for 2 weeks because it's a bunch of white Trump voters? I mean,
Or was it because it was dangerous? Like, did he not go because, then you would have to drink the water that you're telling everybody's safe?
Did you see the video of them all sitting around in a kitchen of some, find the local with like the homiest kitchen. We're going to go in, cameras rolling. We're going to turn the taps on and we're all going to stand around and drink the water. It was comical. I never watched The Office, and I should probably, but it seemed like that's what would happen in The Office. And they're all so nervous. You can see them. They're scared to death to drink the water. Why would you drink that water right now? Why are they even there? We put a fucking ship in the harbor of New York City to treat COVID patients, and they didn't send any COVID patients. I mean, so what information are we taking in? And what is the purpose of that? Well, I only want to be filled with like inspirational shit at this point because, there isn't anything else that's like Biden goes on and he says yesterday, he blames whatever shill was interviewing him about how when you turn on the TV, all you see is negative shit. Well, yeah, we're in a fucking recession. We have literally our own zombie HBO show happening right now with fentanyl and some other thing that gives people these skin eating disease. It's like worse than fentanyl, but it's what the filler that they use in it. Can you look this up,
Sure.
Michael? It's like
what they cut it with.
Yeah. And crank or something. It's something unbelievable name. It's like the most. I just got goosebumps thinking about the name of this drug. We have a fucking pandemic happening right now. It's called everybody in America is strung out on drugs, either pharmaceutical drugs because they were depressed or we had our whole existence torn away from us for 2 years and we lived scared. That's psychological trauma. Talk about the inner child. Like we've all fucking went through this trauma, right? And go ahead.
So they're saying trank dope.
Yeah, trank dope. How hard is that name? Trank dope.
Yeah, tranquilizer, xylazine. It looks like I think that's how you'd pronounce it.
Yeah,
says can lead to necrotic ulcers and leaves street medics and physicians confused about how to best deal with the wave of this opioid crisis.
Yeah, so this is a whole new thing that's coming in, and I guess it's even cheaper than the fentanyl. So they're just, and it still gets everybody high.
Yeah, I mean, and in the good old days, they would just cut your drugs with baby laxatives, and all that would do would make you shit.
Right.
It's like this is
now you get a flesh-eating disease from the filler that they're putting in. So the good old days, they just don't exist.
And I feel like this is another attack, like this is happening because of its availability and who's making it available. Why is it that this is what everybody's doing? Are these drugs coming over from the Mexican cartels? Where are they getting it? Where's all this stuff being manufactured? How is it getting into all of these nooks and crannies of this isn't just happening in LA, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah, imagine our FBI was more focused on that. Then, like, what's a domestic terrorist? Probably fentanyl, not school moms who just don't want their kids to read porn in the library.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What does that make me? Yeah, okay, I'm crazy. No. Take a look around outside. Take a look at the opioid crisis is a joke compared to this.
Yeah.
It is a joke compared to this.
And it's one of the leading reasons why we have the homelessness problem we have, because, this is a safe place for these guys to do it. They can all gather together. Not everybody needs to be homeless, or, they choose to be homeless. Not everyone, but a lot of them choose to be homeless to live in this kind of environment.
Yeah. Kevin.
What's up, buddy?
So me and Kevin had the, what would you call, we had the fortunate pleasure, or just a serendipitous bounce, or maybe this is the way that it's moving. Like, I should be honored. We auditioned for the same role last week.
Yes, we
I
did.
didn't know that. That's great.
For
Well, I had my sides on my table, and you came in laughing. You knew before. You have better eyes than me, but you put it together before I did.
I walked into the office and I saw, first of all, Kevin, it's like watching a guy tape a stick for practice, and maybe he's not really ready for practice yet. It's not going to be the best tape job in the world. I walked in and Kevin had his sides on the table. Now, anyone that highlights sides, you use a yellow, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't know there was a rule, but yeah.
Well, you used a blue highlighter. Now, highlighting blue onto, admit that it was an odd choice.
Well, listen, as you saw in my second set of sides, I redid them because I do brackets.
Yeah, so he went
Back
to
in the day, I always did brackets.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, all right, it's 2023. I'll go with the highlighter.
Right.
I just grabbed one. I didn't really think about it. I knew immediately that it was wrong, which is why I was like, these sides are bad luck. So I went back to my brackets.
Yeah, and the bracket is an interesting thing. Where did you pick that up? Because is that
I've
an
been
old
doing it
school?
since I was a kid.
Right.
Like circle brackets or square brackets.
Circle or square? Since you were a kid, you were a child actor. People don't realize.
Not my first set of sides.
Not your first set of sides. Now, let's talk about the audition process, because first of all, they were great sides. It's a
It was
great
good audition, which is why I said I'll do it. It'll be fun.
So Kevin says, okay, I'll do it. Now, we go and both go our separate ways.
No, but we both went our separate ways. But at one point we were like, oh, well, we'll do it together. I'll do yours, and we'll do mine. We were going to flip flop. We were going to do a home and home.
Yeah, we were going to do a home and home. Well, as I left, I don't know, a few hours later, I get a picture from Kevin, and what I learned to be were Zulai's hair extensions, and he sort of went into deep character. So that got me a little bit rattled, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Kevin's really going for this.
I was playing mind games with you. I was like, why are you doing that? I'm like, just trying to get in his head a little bit.
But what's interesting is that essentially your final product represented that guy that had the hair extensions in, because you went real zippity, right? You made a choice.
It was a muted version of the guy with the hair extensions and the fur coat.
Yeah. And you kind of liked doing it, didn't you?
It was fun to go like a little bit over the top with it. I did not play that one safe, which is why I'm not exactly staring at my phone waiting for the phone to ring.
Well, no, but you feel good about it was fun, right? The process.
It was great. By the way, Dave's my scene partner, which is what it is. Good news is I'm just looking at the top of his head because he's just staring down on his lines, making sure he gets his lines right. But yeah, I had a good time going a little bit big.
So Kevin actually let me see his audition, which is very rare. So Kevin, I think the old school, it's a little bit of a sacred process. I just want anyone to see it so anyone can go, fuck, this is good, right? Because I'm still like, I don't need the validation. I just want to know I'm going and I'm making the right choices. Okay. If it's shit, tell me. But if it's the right choices, then it can be, now I go, okay, now I can squeeze and go a little bit more. So Kevin let me see his audition.
Only because of how you are with yours. Normally I would never show that to anybody else. Like nobody else saw that except you.
Right.
I think Scotty might have caught a peek, but it's a general rule, I would never do that. But you're so open with yours, I figured,
Yeah, and I was very excited about your tape because the real juice are the moments in between. And you had two moments that it just, for me, I go, it's like watching, I don't know, it'd be like watching Stevie Y or Fedorov in practice. they're moving. It's like no one's gonna fucking outskate them, but they're not going 100%. They're not in it yet, right? It's practice, and then they'll make one or two movements over the course of a practice, and you'll go, "Oh shit! Oh yeah, I get it.
Well, I was telling you, this thing about the self-tapes is sometimes it's about what you're doing when you're not speaking.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with it,
Yeah, because that means you're generally listening, and you can make some moves off of that. Now, to wrap this up in an interesting way, what was funny is on Friday, you broke up your scenes, which is great. You it was like you did one scene one day, and then
I had to put it down for the day and come back, but I knew it wasn't due, so I broke it up into 2 days, which is absurd. But
Right.
we're in here, so it doesn't really matter.
Now, what happened was I was like, oh, Kev, you might not know this because you haven't had to audition for a long time, but now everything's a self-tape. And if you have an audition, you can go on to Vimeo and just type in that character name, and other people's auditions will come up. And
That's crazy. That's like Venmo, right? When people know that you're sending people. I don't know why that would be available to people, but basically, Sean and I, which is terrible that we did it, but we actually sat there and we watched other actors audition for the same role that we did.
But what was funny, and the thing that was most interesting, was you were so happy. Everyone was different. They were all different, and everyone was good.
I
Right?
mean, if you want any of those people, you definitely didn't want me, and you definitely didn't want you.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, if any one of the
Right.
that I saw got it, you go, oh, okay, well, that would make sense. That's what they were going for, which is why I always say about acting, it's so specific that it's really even hard to wrap your head around how hard it is to get any job.
Right. Cocaine Bear. I went and saw it by myself.
What'd you think?
It is insane. It is insane. It's actually incredible that they made a movie out of this, that they had the ability to create a script around this and CGI a bear that was believable. It was like Traffic, except Cocaine Bear. There was 8 different storylines that all came together and ended up being eaten by a bear on coke. I'll ruin the movie for you. You'll know right away, like 20 minutes in. Everyone's getting eaten by this bear, which was a little weird. I didn't think the bear would want to eat people on coke, but this bear, there was a lot of coke, and there was only one bear. And the real story is this bear ate all the coke. It didn't know how to sniff it. It was eating it, and it died with like 116 pounds of cocaine, like in its stomach. Wow. Yeah. So this bear goes on a fucking rampage. Dave loved it. It's his favorite movie of the year.
Apparently, they're going to make a Cocaine Shark, too. So keep your eyes out for that.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, that's the rumor.
The soundtrack was pretty cool. I like the 80s music they used in it.
Yeah, you're right. Here's something very funny, okay? So Fish is in Cancun, Mexico. They were this past weekend doing, they do like 3 shows in 3 nights. And it's at this hotel in Cancun called Moon Palace, okay? They do the concert on the beach. All the Wookiees go and they go down there and they go wild, all right? So here's a review from some unsuspecting guy and his family that happened to be staying at the hotel this weekend. They probably booked it 8 months prior. All right, you ready for this? The guy's name's Jack Stevenson. He writes, I'm extremely frustrated with the Moon Palace Hotel in Cancun. As some of you know, me and my family booked a stay here. We've been here for the past 5 days and are leaving tomorrow. No one told us thousands of hippies would be invading for some hippie jam fest or something. Some band called Fish. Our son saw this guy doing drugs off this girl's chest. Our daughter saw this guy getting drugs blown into his ass. And this hippie came up to my wife while I was with her for ketamine and chill, whatever that means. I am asking for a full refund from Moon Palace. This is unacceptable. I don't know if this is true. I tend to believe it might be. Jack Stevenson. When the Wookiees descend on a fucking destination, it's like they're setting up camp. It's Star Wars, all right? Ketamine and chill. I want to follow this up, and I think this will give all of you guys some fond memories. I posted it on Instagram, but I want to read it. Fuck around with the Gen X and find out. I saw this on a millennials post. I don't know who posted this. I don't know where I got it, but
Yeah, I've seen this too.
it's storytelling at its finest. I don't mess around with anyone over 42. They built different. Their families had them formally trained in something by the time they were 2. They had keys to the house by age 5, could cook full meals at 7, and were pretty much self-sufficient at 9. They left their house at dawn every summer morning and didn't come back till nightfall, and survived all day on water from garden hoses. They might get a sandwich on the off chance somebody's parents had went shopping. They spent 3/4 of their lives by themselves, with a parent maybe checking on them twice a month. Most of them have evaded at least one kidnapping attempt, and they know 15 different ways to remove blood stains from clothing. They, the real fuck around and find out people.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's just great. Kevin, Stand By Me, did you not audition for it? Did you miss that?
Yeah, I don't know why. I was in the age range, but I did not.
You were in the age range?
I was in that age range, yeah.
And you weren't on the mix on that?
I was not in the mix on that.
Do you know anyone that was in it?
Yeah, I worked with Jerry O'Connell way back.
Right.
And you know, those guys were all sort of the usual suspects anyway. I don't think there were
were.
any real surprises there, with the exception of maybe Jerry O'Connell.
When you saw that movie, did that make you want to act more?
I mean, me and my friends, we used to sneak into the movies, and we watched that one like a couple times in the first day.
Really?
It was out, yeah.
It was that good. But just the storytelling of, like, think about that. That's so true. I just got goosebumps. The garden hoses.
Yeah.
You're gone all day. You know?
Street lights. That was our rule.
Street lights.
When the street lights come on, it's time to come in for dinner.
Right. And the safety.
Dad's at work. Mom's busy doing what she's doing during the day.
Right.
And it probably has something to do with there was bigger families back then too. So the oldest was sort of in charge. I was the oldest. So me, my brother, and my sister, we'd go to the park. We'd go wherever we'd want to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I was essentially a single child because there's eight years between me and Scott. So, like, I don't.
Was there a neighbor kid that was like that?
I think this is the time. I think this was the time. This was the. I mean, Stand By Me. Look at that movie and just think about that. You know, Goonies. There's so many, but the story and the beautiful. They left their house at dawn every summer morning and didn't come back till nightfall. And they survived all day on water from garden hoses. This is why I wanted to. This is where I'm seguing, whatever the word is. Okay, this is American Idol. If you want to watch a show right now that is on television, there's been 2 episodes. It's the audition episodes. So I think like the first 3 are always the best. But I have cried from the start to the finish of both episodes. I have been a water well of tears. They started it off with this girl, Haven Madison, okay? Now, she's 18 years old. Her dad is this guy, Jason Roy, who's in a popular Christian band called Building 429, all right? She sings, this is the first, they opened the show, the season. She sings this original song titled 15. And the song touches on universal adolescent themes, the uncertainty of growing up. Her tone is clear as a bell. She phrases the song beautifully. The performance was impactful, okay? Now, the dad is playing piano, I believe, or guitar. She was singing, he was playing guitar. To see this dad, all right, essentially, he looked at his whole entire life was in front of his eyes. Like everything he has done up until that moment was for his daughter. And now she stands in front of 3 superstars. And by the way, the chemistry on this show between Lionel, Katy Perry, and Luke Bryan is otherworldly. It's off the charts. It is the best feel-good 2 hours of television you can find right now. This guy's crying. This dad's crying. Luke, Lionel are crying. You know, the guys cry. Katy cries. Everybody cries. Okay. Now, if I could just get through the internet here, I wanna talk about a couple other ones. There was a guy last night, season 2. This guy, John Wayne Hatfield. Okay. This kid, and this all ties into the garden hose. This kid was raised by his grandparents, all right? I think his grandparents were together for 60 years. His grandmother dies a year and a half ago. His grandfather doesn't talk to anyone for a year. Now, he calls his grandfather dad, right? Like, this is the man that raised him. They brought this guy out on the episode. He looked like the coolest guy, the coolest grandfather ever on the face of the American history, all right? Here's the kicker. He came out as gay after his wife had died, and he had to tell his grandson, and his grandson proceeds to write a song about this that is one of the greatest songs I've ever heard. Everyone was crying. Now all the judges are crying again. It's an original song, all right? These kids are firing on a level that it's unheard of. So when we think about our role models and you know, like Woody standing up and all this shit that's going on, you know, fuck around and find out. I'm looking at these kids that have all faced a little bit of turmoil in their life, or they just got lucky and had an incredible parent that had great values, right? Was already in a Christian band. And they blew the house down. I would like to go through some more, but we don't have Wi-Fi at Action Park, so it's tough. It is tough.
Dave's having a hard time with it. He was really
He wants the fiber.
Yeah, he wants fiber and he wants it right now. That's what he said when nobody was around. He's like, I want this right now.
By the way, there is, all jokes aside, we pay for like the highest of high-end internet, and Kevin Karigian refuses to believe that it's a problem. I mean, somebody's got to call and sit on the phone with the internet company and say, hey, we're paying for X package, and it's not working properly.
It is a problem though, right? Because like I don't have internet right now.
No, it is a problem.
Okay. All
Are
right.
you on APM Euro?
I believe so. Yeah, I am. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. This sucks.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. I agree. Michael, you want to so what happened last night in the Kings Ranger game? Somebody spit on somebody.
Keandre Miller spits a pretty big loogie right on Drew Doughty's face. And it's come out where he says after the fact that it was unintentional. Doughty says, you know, unintentional or not, it's pretty gross. I was pissed off. It's hard to really tell, but like you said, I mean, spitting is down at the ground. And I know you actually you don't like people spitting on the sidewalk, let alone on somebody's face. So
before I became a martial artist, I used to get mad at people that spit on the sidewalk in New York.
Yeah. I actually, since you had that,
you notice it now, right?
Now I quit doing. I was a spitter I'd spit on the sidewalk,
yeah,
or the parking lot or whatever. Now if it's like a mulch bed or like at the base of a tree or something, I won't. You know.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's like, well, listen, Theo's gonna take a piss on there, so it doesn't matter. It's fine.
He looks good though too, right?
Theo got his haircut. Theo looks great. Shout out Dave. Dave, do you have ClassPass?
I do not. I've never heard of that.
No. Okay. Another thing, SudShare, which I think we're all possibly contemplating if it gets really bad, no matter what. SudShare this is not an app. It is an app. It's not an ad. SudShare is Uber for laundry. So you can just go on the app and say, hey, I want my laundry done. And I can pick up the call and I would come over to your house, pick up your laundry. Dave thought that I would do the laundry at his house. I was like, no, Dave, it doesn't work like that. You take it home and you do their laundry at your own home. SudShare, okay? If it ever gets as bad as it can possibly get, I mean, there's places to go. There's moves to make. I'm actually in the process of getting I'm getting my commercial license because I think, depending on the, I think I might pick a little bit of transpo work up. The union guys are.
It's a tough gig to get, bro.
I just said, the guys
You got to put hours in. I mean, you really, really, really got to put hours in.
I've been presented with an opportunity that I think is a good opportunity, and it's like
It's a hell of a union.
It's a hell of a union.
Are we talking about commercial acting? Is that what you're?
No.
I don't. I'm.
Are you talking about being a Teamster?
I'm talking about driving the transportation vans on set. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You'd
Some
be
of the
a great
most
guy when there
legendary.
was a union problem to be like, yo, send Avery to bust up their cars.
Yeah.
They're not union.
Right. I've been over there. I went over and I met with them. The guys, and they're
You got to get days and then hours, but once you get that button, so to speak.
right. But the opportunity is essentially as long as you want the hours, if they're on board for it, then you get the call for those hours.
Right. They'll say, hey, we're looking, you available. We need you for 5 days.
Yeah.
It might take you a couple years.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I just think it's, I just think it's interesting. I just want to be on sets, right? And I'll drive the fucking I'll drive transportation. I have no problem driving transportation. Anyways, I'm in the process of getting my commercial license because you just never know.
The CDL, right?
Yes. Yeah. My Colin Stowe, this kid that did. Oh my God, what song did he sing? This kid, another kid that his dad, his dad wasn't. Oh, he did "Simple Man" by Lynyrd Skynyrd. It's one of the. This thing will blow your face off. You guys have to watch this show tonight when you get home. Okay. Zachariah Smith. All right. This kid sang John Cougar Mellencamp. This will blow your face off.
Hoosier.
Hurts so good. He does hurts so good. This guy's a burger flipper. It'll blow your mind. I am Dongi. This kid from Hawaii does James Blunt's Monsters. Tears. You'll be in absolute tears. Lost his dad a year ago. Then this kid from Vancouver does Talking to the Moon. Bruno. Oh no. I can't say enough about this show. Lauren Daigle, who I now love, she's a Christian singer. She came out and sang with one of the other girls that was auditioning. I didn't know who Lauren Daigle was. She sings this song, You Say. This song will have you in tears. It'll have you in absolute tears. What else do I have?
Can I? As much as I will watch the show.
Yeah.
But I also want to encourage people to go out and support their local music venues and to see these people before, or that's where a lot
You're
of my work
grassroots.
was.
You're a
I'm a
grassroots
grassroots guy. So sometimes I refer these things to a karaoke contest, and not that the stories aren't cool and everything else, but
Whoa, this took a hard fucking
Well, I'm
turn
just saying-
on
I
where
was
you're
gonna
going.
say,
I'm just saying.
Christ.
I'm saying that
I do karaoke.
Well,
this
Where are you
This is
going
the-
with this, Michael?
Well, I'm saying I would like for the people to go and support their local music venues as well.
But you also took a backhanded slap at American Idol in the process.
I couldn't not say it because I actually genuinely believe that.
We will revisit this next week. Will you watch the first two episodes?
I will.
You promise me.
Lastly, you have to add in, Michael. You're talking about big pressure on these people. Talk about going from nothing to the big stage.
There's no question, and
That's not saying
16 years old, some of these kids.
yeah, and
18 years old. That's like walking into a
swimming
room.
with sharks.
Yes.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with that. But what I am saying is that the greatest musicians went through and cut their teeth, and the life isn't just multi-million-dollar deals where you get to go and play stadiums. The life is to build
Hell
up.
yeah, it is.
Well, that's where they're gonna end up. But Kevin, think about the parallels between what's the difference between walking into an audition room and walking into an audition for American Idol.
Well, because you're not auditioning in front of 30 million people. You're scared enough to audition in front of 4.
Right.
Try 35 million
Right. And 3 of the biggest stars in the business.
that are there to basically judge you.
Yeah.
And probably are, for the most part, looking to tell you,
Well, that's what's so beautiful about this show that you guys will find out when you watch is that the chemistry, the uplift, it's so beautiful to see 3 stars that are totally comfortable in their skin. And like they'll stand up and they'll sing, and they haven't had a warm up, and they are electric. They are the best. It's the best television on TV right now. Like that shit you work on. I mean,
Masked Singer.
Yeah, you work on the Masked Singer. Okay. You
I
went through the fucking list of so far who they've had this year.
Yes, I have.
You said Dick Van Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke.
That was like the big one for you so far.
That's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, half of there's a small demographic that even know who he is now.
Howie Mandel, Debbie Gibson, and then country singer Sarah Evans. You know, all of these people. Big difference is that all of these people are obviously somewhat known or giant superstars. So it doesn't really compare to an American Idol. And
well, they're not superstars in comparison to Katy Perry, Luke Bryan, and Lionel Richie.
I mean,
how much we looked at it? 25. I guess we're saying that they're 25 million across the board, which is the greatest job in TV.
Yeah, it's looking like Katy Perry is the leading $25 million person, but we couldn't find new stats.
I think all three of them are 25 across the board. I don't think you're getting in a pay contest with those three, but we could be wrong. What do you got for hockey? So Kevin, your guy's out.
Matthew Barzal is out for the season.
Oh, Barzal's out for the season, and Horvat?
No, Horvat. You know, he comes in and then Barzal immediately goes down.
So what's wrong with Barzal?
Barzal's not out for the season, is he?
Yeah, he is. Lower body injury.
So you guys are done.
I didn't know that.
But they're winning, and right now they're in a wild card spot. So, you know, you can't count anybody out. Bo Horvat has really added a lot to that team.
All right, so Patrick Kane, it's I think the assumption is that he's going to New York.
So this drops on Wednesday, and the story is that he could be in the lineup for the Rangers as early as Wednesday. It seems like it's a done deal, and at least that's how it's being reported.
So the two biggest names right now are Chychrun and Kane. We don't know where they're going.
Well, yeah, Chychrun definitely we don't know, and it seems like it's L.A., but Rob Blake's not willing to put out what those guys want back in return. So we might see the Kings stand pat.
I know. Who fucking cares about the Kings? I'm talking about Chychrun, and now you want to talk about the intentions of the Kings? I don't fucking care about the Kings.
Boston goes after and gets Dmitry Orlov from Washington Capitals, so that takes them out of the Chychrun deal, and that sort of leaves...
Well, Orlov and Chychrun are not on the same page. First of all,
Orlov is playing with his partners now.
Orlov was like an acquisition depth piece.
Well, I mean,
he's won cups. He's a hell of a player.
Yeah, and he's playing next to Charlie McAvoy. It looks like so.
Let me talk.
I have my buddy's actually calling, the editor from American Idol's calling. Should I ask him?
No.
Okay.
But we'll.
Okay.
I want you to watch the show.
Okay, I will, and I'll bring back some.
Oh, he's an editor.
He's an editor on the show.
Oh fuck. I would love to interview him. Not right now,
Great.
but
No problem.
Can we talk to him?
Absolutely.
Because he goes through everything.
Well, that's why I messaged him to see like, hey, what are the revenues for that?
See if he can also get you on his team, because I'd like you to switch teams.
Okay.
All right. Hold on a sec. Patrick Kane. Okay. Tell me about the Tampa trade, because this is where I want to talk to people about the reality and what it really means to build a team nucleus. All right? Because the Tampa Bay Lightning, they do that. All right? So New York's going to make all these moves. You're going to have Patty Kane now. Tarasenko, I mean, I remember when I got to the Rangers, I went on a fucking crazy run. My first time getting traded to New York, like point a game, maybe more than a point a game for the first 17 games. Tarasenko scored in his first game, and he's fucking been absolutely invisible for the last 6 games.
Yeah.
That's a problem to me.
Totally.
I mean, that is really concerning.
Yep.
So now you're going to add Patty Kane into this mix. Where are all the minutes going to go? First of all, you're going to have a
Panarin, Tarasenko, Patrick Kane.
Power play. So you have 5 forwards for sure on the power play. No, you have Fox, because you have to have Fox on there. So now you've got a second power play. Patty Kane goes on the second power play. He's not taking that first power play out. They're one of the best in the league. All right. So just for what you're going to get in a Patty Kane versus... Now, 5-on-5 is a different game, right? If whatever line he's on 5-on-5, you're going to get great minutes of him, and he can be a game breaker. All right, I understand that, but there's not a ton of 5-on-5, not as much in the playoffs. It seems like, Tampa goes out and gets this kid. Who is he?
Tanner Janot.
Big kid,
stud. He's got good hands. Last year had an incredible year with Nashville. It's definitely been a little bit of a regression in that department,
right?
But they're expecting to do exactly what they did last year, or Tampa, I'm saying, with the Nick Paul deal, or
well, they trade for a guy that's got tremendous upside. He's on a little bit of a downswing. He scored 25 goals in the league. He's a big kid. He had 150 penalty minutes. He's tough. I like that move more than Patrick Kane. Like, I'm not that concerned. I could eat my words and Patrick Kane could be on Broadway in a few months and there's fucking 3 million people and there's an unbelievable parade in New York City and he's one of the difference makers. Is he a Brian Noonan? I mean, Kev, you remember that 94 team?
Yeah, jumping back a second. You don't think that Patrick Kane jumps up on that front power play line with Panarin?
No way. Whose spot does he take? Kreider? Panarin? Mika? Fox? And
maybe he slips in there for Zibanejad or whatever, however you pronounce his name.
Zibanejad? No. First of all,
Patrick Kane doesn't replace Zibanejad on the first power play?
No, because first of all, Patrick Kane's a left-handed shot, and New York's power play is built on those rights, on that Fox, Panarin. They're always constantly moving, so they're not a standstill power play. That's why they're so good. Now,
well, he could take the Tarasenko spot. So right now it's showing their first power plays: Mika, Kreider, Tarasenko, Fox, Panarin.
Okay, great. So now you've got Tarasenko on the second power play. He's not producing during the regular season when he should be the most energized right now, trying to take over New York and Broadway. Everyone in a 91 jersey. He's fucking nowhere to be found. All right. What I'm saying is the deals like this deal in Tampa, or the Leafs just made a deal that I think is even more interesting and more important than Ryan O'Reilly, which was they got a couple of pluggers, right, for the bottom six.
Yeah, they got Lafferty and McCabe. Lafferty is a bottom six, really high-end winger, or for bottom six guy. He's there's a lot of upside there for them. Penalty killer. He has some offensive abilities. And then they shored up their defense a little bit with Jake McCabe. Looks like he's going to be a bottom pair guy, but
here's the I don't need to hear. I don't need his whole fucking life history, Michael. I just wanted the fucking trade. Okay. Here's the thing. All right. So, and I'll use Scotty's Boston Bruins as an example. Okay. Even though Detroit 2002 had a stacked team, what they did at the deadline is they went out, and I believe I'm right. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. They go out and they get a Fredrik Olofsson. All right. Freddie Olofsson. Guy played 3,000 NHL games. All right. Steady Eddie. This guy fit into that team perfectly. Puck moving defenseman, super heady, sort of a Larry Murphy type-esque player. It was then they go and they get Steve Duchesne, the Duke. Okay. These are the types of deals. Now, what has Boston done? They went out and they got one guy, right? They got a guy that's sort of like a good piece.
Well, Orlov and Hathaway both come over from Washington.
Okay, so they get these two guys. So that's good.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's going to be enough juice to get them excited to go through this stretch run and just dominate the way that they've been dominating, right? Tampa plays Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh can still beat you on some nights if you have an off night. You still got a dangerous team, right? I don't know. I like Toronto's moves. I like Tampa's moves. I don't think anyone else. This New York thing is a real juggernaut, and you guys love Patrick Kane in there. Scotty, it's his favorite fucking player. I get
Listen, Patrick Kane is a special player. Sean.
I understand. Probably one of the best American-born players. He's not that old. Shit, he might have 3-4 more great years left, energized in a different city.
And this is painful for me to say, but he would look weird in anything but a Rangers jersey. I mean, honestly, could you imagine looking at Patrick Kane in a Kraken jersey? By the way, Kraken are great. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying.
Okay,
the only place that makes sense is the Rangers.
Here's the example I'm going to use. All right, so go back to 2002. All right, I believe your third line was Pavel Datsyuk, Brett Hall, Boyd Devereaux, right? So, and the reason I say that, and then your fourth line was McCarty, Maltby, Draper. Okay. Now your top 9 are all superstars, essentially. All right. Well, no, not your top 6 are. Your top line, you've got a third line that's starting to look a little bit like as much as that was a young prime Pavel Datsyuk. Where do you put Patrick Kane? Who does he play with, and how does that fit in? Brett Hall had no problem playing on the third line. Okay. Now, Patrick Kane is not Brett Hall. Anything you want to say about he's not Brett Hall. They are two different players. And
it also begs the question: do we really know? It's as reported. Maybe he's not going to the Rangers, Sean.
Well,
he's got
a no move clause, and I've never seen a player basically come out and just say this or nothing, and it's really drawn down the value for the Blackhawks because he's not really willing to go anywhere else.
Well,
at least that's what's being reported.
All right, but don't get in the weeds on that, Michael. That's his right, and like, who gives a fuck?
Totally.
But you're saying that's leaning towards because he said New York, it's going to be New York. That's what we're assuming.
Yeah, and there's been talk too of Dallas, but I mean, it seems like he specifically. I mean, he showed a lot of disappointment when they picked up Tarasenko, so it seems like Rangers is his first choice.
Just be careful what you wish for, Rangers fans. That's all I'm saying. You guys are all banging the fucking cowbells for Patty Kane. Now you got Tarasenko. Tarasenko is invisible. I want you to, if you can, quickly pull up my stats on my first 20 games in a Ranger jersey, because it's concerning to me. This guy comes in, he scores 1 goal in his first game, and now he's been nowhere to be found.
Could he be on the block for Kane?
Going somewhere. That is a wild, I don't know if he's got a no move clause, but
you're right. He's been kind of invisible, and I love Tarasenko, but I'm glad the Islanders didn't sign that.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for.
In 2006, 2007, you played 29 games for the Rangers, 8 goals, 12 assists, 20 points, 58 penalty minutes, 11 playoff games with 10 goals, 1 assist.
Prime time.
I mean,
or no, it was 10. It was 10 games. Apologies. 10 games played, goal and 4 assists, 5 points, 27 penalty minutes.
Still pretty good playoffs. Yeah. And one of those games I had a lacerated spleen, I believe.
Yeah.
So asterisks beside the one, but whatever.
Definitely a playoff guy, though, bro.
No doubt.
I don't think anybody's
no doubt.
They'll argue with you about a lot, but not going to argue about your ability to show up for a big game.
I just be careful what you wish for. I saw a Ranger fan. He's already got a Kane jersey.
Yeah, I saw that.
88. Did obviously Lindros wore 88 in New York. That's cool. I don't know. I can tell you right now, I promise you that the Boston Bruins will not win the Stanley Cup. I give better fucking odds to the Toronto Maple Leafs at this point today to win the Stanley Cup over the Boston Bruins.
Why is that? I'm just curious.
Because I don't think, first of all, I don't know what the statistics are, but President Trophy winners, it's sort of a curse. It's very difficult to win.
Brutal.
You saw that, right?
I mean, it's like, I remember up until
Hockey
recently,
Illuminati, I think he did something. I saw it recently. Like,
one team did it recently, but there was a stretch for a long period of time where the President's Trophy winner loses.
Detroit did it in 2002. Okay. The reason I say that is they had a major meltdown with about a month left to this in the season, and they weren't winning games. I think Sergei was in Miami because Kornikova had broken up with him. Like, shit was in shambles. Larionov was hurt, but they had the ability, and I saw it with my own 2 eyes, with about 2 weeks to go. They closed the doors. They had a players-only meeting, and they said, all right, it's time to flick the switch. And everyone just, I think one person, whoever said it out loud, it might have been, I don't think it was Stevie because he wasn't back playing yet, but it was somebody, the weight was there. And they flicked the switch and they turned it on. I don't think the Boston Bruins, well, they're not. They're not the 2002 Detroit Red Wings. It's very difficult to do that. And I just don't like their team. I don't like their team for a war. They don't have Chara anymore. That back end's going to get busted. One injury in the first round of the playoffs, all of a sudden their back end turns into disarray versus, a Tampa who have guys that have been in the wars and they know the attrition, the 4 rounds, what it's going to take. All right. Toronto, trust me, I'm not saying Toronto's in any better position because that back end is fucking susceptible to a lot. All right.
For me, it looks like that first round would be the time to take a shot at the Bruins. If they get through that first round and then they get into kind of cruise control, the Lightning are the same way. The way to go at these teams is early, first round.
They're all going to be wars. Trust me, this Seattle team, this Vegas team, the West is going to turn into a war on its own also. I don't want to hear about Seattle. I know that they're good, right?
Yep.
They're good.
They're going to be a tough out.
They're going to be a tough out. Okay. And Vegas?
I don't like Vegas. I have no idea how they are where they are.
Okay.
I really don't.
I agree. And Edmonton, I mean, you said it, Kev. You were talking about, what's his name? McJesus.
I think that it's crazy to say because I'm a man that I believe you have to have some accolades, but I just think he could possibly be the greatest player ever.
Yeah.
Right now. I don't know what that means, but we watched him the other day. Guy's got 4 points. They lose 6-5.
Yeah.
I don't know who to blame. Maybe offense isn't playing a good enough defense, but when Connor McDavid has 4 points, you got to win the game.
Yeah, well, right now, and I guess they said it about Yzerman that he wasn't going to be able to win, but you can't even compare any of those old guys that knocked like perception and showed everyone that they were wrong, because McDavid's so much more skilled than everyone else. But I'll come back to it. I'll take a Nikita Kucherov on my team over Connor McDavid today, any day of the week. Any day of the week.
That would be borderline crazy.
I mean, listen, I've told you, Scotty's in there. He's like, Patrick Kane's his favorite player. I mean, if you got all fucking players in the league to choose from at this point, you go, Patrick Kane's my favorite player. Come on, bro. Quickly, the goaltending situation across the league, Michael. Who's a standout?
I mean, it has to be Linus Ullmark, right, Scotty?
He scored a goal.
He scores a goal.
Yeah.
I think that was almost a deal, a sealer for the Vezina. If I, step out on a ledge.
You think scoring a goal has now given him Vezina credibility?
Well, I think all his other stats put him at the top to begin with. I think that sort of seals the deal.
In what sense? In just like a metaphysical, in an ether type of way?
There's not anybody
because
else
if anyone's voting on the fucking Vezina and they go, this guy scored a goal, and they add that in, then we got problems.
Igor's struggling right now. Sorokin's not doing as great. So our bet, Kevin, isn't looking great.
Don't count Sorokin out of that yet. He's going to be a Vezina finalist for sure.
Okay, well,
John Jones, Cyril Gahn.
I'm excited.
Hey,
where are we watching that fight?
by the way, I'm going to the fight for my birthday.
Are you
I know.
really?
You told me. I forgot.
Yeah.
Let's just let everybody in
I
on
said,
the
where
inside.
are we watching it? And he's like, I'm watching.
Kevin's getting on a plane with a couple of his close friends that happen to be very, very affluent.
Influential.
You know what? Talented. They're Heat. It's like you're getting on the plane with the Heat. You guys are going to Vegas and you're going to watch this fight. What a treat, boy. What a treat.
For whatever reason, UFC always does a big card around that lands on or around my birthday. So
Nice.
my birthday is on Sunday morning, so we're going to go watch the fight on Saturday.
Hey, happy birthday.
In and out, thanks.
And you're going to fly back 11 the next day?
Yeah, I got to come back and try to act like a civilized human being for my family with my birthday with my family, my daughter, who now sings happy birthday and all that stuff. you know?
But what's beautiful is that Zulai knows that this is one of like the 4 or 5 or 6 times a year where you might go off the reservation, right?
Yeah, well, I'll just have to deal with it on my own. Right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be her struggle the next day. It's going to be mine.
No, but she's gonna cut you some slack if you come in and you're not the most motivated,
Well, I'm
right?
saying,
It is
you know
your
what,
birthday.
What do I want for my birthday is to just
Just
sleep on Sunday. And I mean that. I'm not even being sarcastic.
Yeah.
If I could just kind of lay around and not do anything, that would be the best birthday present of all.
yeah.
I
Wow.
like sneakers. Was she going to get me a shirt? What's she going to get me for my birthday?
What kind of sneakers are you gonna wear to the fight?
Bro, I don't think about that stuff. Sean, we got a last thing I want to say. Scotty, I don't know. Unfortunately for you, he's throwing you and I in the same age bracket.
Yeah.
But he's essentially saying that if you ask anyone his age, so I guess
They say Patty Kane.
they're implying that you and I are at a touch that Patty Kane is like the guy.
Okay.
No.
He won 2 Stanley Cups,
He
right?
won 3.
Three.
Three.
he won 3.
Okay.
I mean, retired Hall of Fame, retired number, Hall of Fame, all of those things for sure. There's
Yeah.
no question.
So, well, here's the problem: is
Statue
like
potential.
Datsuk and Zetterberg, are they in that same category? They're not playing anymore.
Unfortunately, and I mean, listen, I love Patrick Kane, but I also Datsuk. But if I had to be a player in the NHL in his prime, I would say it would be Patrick Kane.
10 years from now, we're going to be saying the best American player of all time is Jack Hughes.
Oh,
And
Jesus
I think
Christ.
that's what it's going to be. It was Mike Modano, then it was Patrick Kane,
Oh,
and
for
Patrick
fuck's
Kane
sakes.
blows the doors off of Mike Modano.
First of all of you are wrong. Okay, in my humble opinion, Chris Chelios is the best American-born player of all time.
Who's going to argue with that?
I mean,
can't really.
you know, I don't know.
Had my baby at his house.
You created your baby. You
On
conceived.
purpose. I mean, obviously.
Kennedy was conceived in Chris Chelios' multi-million-dollar Malibu beachfront property.
Intentionally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Episode 50, No Gruffs Given. We'll see you next week.
Action Park
Media.